Hey guys, so my name is Savannah Stuckey, and I'm going to show you how I got to my company APB of 578.28. Tried really hard to get to 600. Tried many times, many different ways, different projects, choosing, everything like that. Didn't quite get there, but this is the best that I did, so this is what we're working with. Um, so with mine, um, I obviously started in 2009. My revenue was 245.75. My operating income was 22.60, and my net income was 13.56. Um, Obviously, my revenue climbed. 2013 it was 305.97, and then even in 2014 it was 332.68. My operating income obviously almost doubled between 2009 and 2014, and then obviously my net income almost as well doubled, but didn't quite. It passed what the forecast was in each section, so I feel like I did pretty good on that. This is my cash flow per division. So obviously the licensing, and then the retail, and then the production, and then we've got that. So when we go over to the income statement and the balance sheet, this is the projection for the years ahead if I were to keep going with all the things that I have chosen, all the projects that I have chosen. By the time that it got to 2024, in 10 years it would have doubled, or almost tripled, I'm sorry, from what it was in 2014, and that's even better, or it would be even better considering we started in 2009 with a smaller net income. So obviously I was on the right track. And then my assets and all that, I mean, those would go up as well. And so now we'll go to cash flow statement. So, and this is all future projections, but it still is in my favor. I mean, this is double. This will have more than doubled in 10 years. If I were to not have any more projects, after it, the simulation's 5-year period, if I were to just stay with those ones, my cash flow would have been 90.4, rather than where we left off at 42.76. And then the ending cash balance would also be twice as high for the 10-year period ahead. Okay, so I did a few projects. I'll show you. These are the ones that I chose this time around. I'll scroll it down. So kind of, I actually did quite a few. I did not every year I did as many as I possibly could, but a lot of the years I did, just because I wanted to mess around with it, and regardless of whether it was going to hurt me at the beginning, but in the long run it'll help, or vice versa. I just wanted to play with everything and see what worked best. And so this is what I found worked best for me for the the beginning amount that we were given, which I think was like right around 6.4 or something like that. I stuck with I did a lot of new age kind of things. Like I did the CD series, the video game, the DVD, and then like a virtual doll community. Those all seemed, it seems that it's like kind of what's in, what's new, what this generation of children prefer, at least in the simulation. So I kind of stuck with that. Um, and then I definitely expanded. Um, Expanding to the Northeast helped, and into England, making sure the warehouses were um, up to date, and making sure that they had a good control system. And then I also chose to do some of the like the Match My Doll. I did both of those. Those seemed to work really well. Um, and then so I'll choose one of these. I'll choose this one to look at. So just to talk about how this one goes. Um, each one has a projected discounted rate. It says what kind of risk it is, and it tells you like when you chose it, if you have already chosen that one. The NPV on this one's not high. The internal rate of return is decent. The payback period is less than 10 years. It could be quite a little bit less than that. This one wasn't necessarily when it looks at it like number wise, it didn't look maybe like it was going to be the best choice of all of them. But when it came down to it, as you can see, it started out at 0.51 before tax, obviously, and then it ended. It'll end at 6.1. Um, so that's good. You know, Here it's not climbing very much just because it was going to take 10 years to pay for it off, but in the end it climbed pretty high pretty fast. Um, and then like with this one, the ending cash balance went from 0.2 to almost 2, so that's a big increase as well. Um, and then we'll look here at the historical financials. So this is really like where I realized like that this one was the one that was probably my best go around. Um, my net income in 2009 started at 12.71 and ended at 23.67. And so in a 5-year period, it almost doubled. I'm not mad about that. I mean, I chose a lot of projects and I spent a lot of money on a lot of projects, so I think that that's actually pretty good. I probably could have made different choices, some better choices if I messed around with it a little more, which I'm sure I will. But we'll just have to see. Um, my assets went down by quite a bit at first, but then they climbed back up pretty quick, and they also ended up higher than what they were in 2009. And so there's that. And then just like to show exactly what happened with every single choice I made on projects. Like when I started out, I started out with the DVD, like I said, like this one had a really high NPV. And then the toddler doll accessory line, and then the Match My Doll clothing line. These three all like shot me up a lot at the very beginning. And then I chose just a couple the second time. And then it says this one, the development took longer than expected, so maybe I shouldn't have chosen this one. Maybe I could have chosen a different one and made it be a little bit better. But it was still expected to succeed. And then these all say, if it was released on schedule, it was very successful and it exceeded the previous films. This one, it says expectations regarding both, or it performed in line with expectations, so it did well. This one, the clothing line outperformed expectations after celebrity's daughter was photographed wearing it. So obviously that got um, that made it more popular, and as well as the raw material costs being lower than anticipated. Um, so I think that this was a pretty good choice. Um, and then towards the end, I kind of started to choose. I went with more options. Um, I know a lot of other people did more options in the middle, but I started out with few at the beginning, the first 3 years, and then I, did as many as I possibly, as many as I really could the last year. Like this one was a success. The revenue and profit exceeded expectations, twice as large as anticipated. Um, this one underperformed, but you got to take risks sometimes. Um, boutique sales were more than expected because in Europe this thing was really big, and because I already had done the Dolls of the World um, down here in 2010. Um, and then this, the children's accessories line was well to slightly higher than the budget. So I just feel like most of my decisions that I made were actually pretty valid, and they got me to where I got. Well, I'll probably mess with it a little bit more just to see if I can make different decisions to make it any higher. But I feel like I did pretty well, and I'm happy with my outcome. So thanks for watching.